Welcome to the Guitar Porch, and we got a special edition today. We're at Nashville, Tennessee at the SPIGMA convention, and I think first time I was here, 1987. I think I've been first moved to Tennessee. I think I've been going to the SPIGMA convention, and this has always been jamming, bluegrass, heaven. If you've never been, you need to check it out. It is. I haven't missed too many of these things. Even I came one time from Virginia in an ice storm. There wasn't nobody here except a handful of people, and I was here, and we always have a big time. One of the most unique things I think about this one is there's a lot of vintage instruments and people that love vintage instruments here, and you never know what you're going to see here. And so I've got a good friend with me today, Thomas Porter from Phoenix, Arizona. And Thomas has got a great business there in Phoenix. He has all kinds of woodworking stuff that he makes. He used to do find barns, I think, in Kentucky, have them shipped, and they would repurpose the old log cabins, and he just does so much stuff. And now the newest thing, you've started a coffee house, right, in Phoenix?
Yep. I needed a place on site where I didn't have to leave for lunch. So I love food and coffee, and now I've got my own cafeteria of sorts, right?
Oh man, I love it. As well as doing all that stuff, guy's a great musician and a songwriter, and we was lucky enough to cut one of Thomas's songs that we dearly love on one of our albums. He's great. He's just, man, I love people that create stuff, and Thomas is one of these guys. But saw him yesterday, and he said, hey, I got a special guitar I want to bring by, and I want to show you. And kept after him, and then he finally told me what it was, and he picked it up today, and he has a newly acquired 1942 D-18. But the special part about this guitar, I'll let Thomas tell you who owned this guitar.
This guitar was owned by Lester Flatt. Lester supposedly did not have a show-worthy guitar back when he very, very first started with Bill Monroe. And so he played Bill Monroe's D-28 for the first little while until Bill told him, you need to go get your own guitar, because he was scratching the top with his thumb picks. So I just heard another story. I need to validate this, but it just sounds so cool. Apparently, the pawn shop where Lester got this, they went and got it. He was looking for specifically an old Martin, and the pawn shop guy said, we've got this one, you can try it out, but we need to try and contact this guy, because a guy went off to World War II. A soldier had bought this new and loaned on it at the pawn shop, but never collected it, never came home.
Oh, wow.
And Lester picked up this guitar from that pawn shop, and they obviously couldn't find the guy. And anyway, I thought that, whether it's true or not, it kind of gave me chill bumps when I heard it. I thought, wow. But Lester picked up this guitar, and he played this on all the early recordings with Bill Monroe, and then Flatt and Scruggs up into the later 50s.
Wow.
Until he sold it to Tut Taylor. So.
All right, now let's talk about when you first heard about this guitar being up for sale. I guess it went up for sale, 2024, right?
Yeah, I got it in October.
October.
I was kind of amazed. It was by random circumstance. I happened to see my buddy Clay Hess got tagged in something on Facebook, and I saw that this guitar was available, and I was, what? What is this? This grand piece of bluegrass history. This is like a national treasure, right?
It really is, because we was talking about today, of course, everybody knows about the L5, which 28 that Lester played, had the big pick guard. But that guitar was, kind of modified by Mike Longworth, which later on went on to be the historian for Martin, the Martin Company. But back then, I think he lived in Chattanooga, I think, and he's the one that kind of, that's probably the most seen guitar, I think, that Lester had. And then there was another guitar that he played that he gave Keith Whitley. I think that's the three guitars that, you know, right now that we know about. Well, tell us the story how it changed hands.
From
then.
what I've been told, and the stories that came along with it, there's a letter that came along with the guitar when I bought it, which I love how much provenance stuff they put with this guitar. There was a little book from the 50s that was a Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs book, taught their songs, and there are pictures of him all over the book with this guitar, which is so fun. Then there's an original receipt from sale with a copy of a check from way back when they sold it. There's an old appraisal from George Gruen from 1978, and then another one in 2012, and
Wow.
all of this stuff was with the guitar when I got it. There's an old capo in there. I don't know whose capo it is, but might warrant some research. Might have been Tut's, who knows.
Yeah.
But apparently Lester had this guitar, and he was backstage, and Tut Taylor coveted this guitar, and he said that he wanted to get a really nice guitar like his someday, you know, and Lester told him, well, you can have this guitar, but you need to pay me $25 for the case. And so he bought it,
Man.
and then fell on hard times and sold it. And so it remained in Dallas area, or in Texas, I should say. I think it was actually in San Antonio portion of it, but it was in Texas, basically just kind of out of the public eye for a long time. And then the owner passed away. I think it changed hands a couple times in Texas, and then the owner of that held it the longest passed away, and his son inherited it, and then decided to go ahead and let it up for auction.
Wow.
So I've not met them yet. I know I've talked to several people here who apparently have met with him, so I've been getting all kinds of stories, which is, I love Spigma for that. We get
Yeah.
we're musicians and somewhat historians of sorts. We
Yeah.
love the story, the history of this
Yeah.
stuff. And so many people are coming up and saying, that guitar is in the recordings that got me into bluegrass.
Yeah.
I spent so many nights listening to music that was recorded on that guitar.
Yeah.
That guitar. And then they sit down and they play it, and I love it. I love
Yeah,
seeing
I
the
do too.
face light up. It's so
Yeah.
cool.
Well, it's just like when you brought it in today, down at the booth, you know, you opened it up, and of course there was 5 or 6 guys, you know, standing around it, and then all of a sudden Thomas, the strap came around the top of the guitar, and then we all saw the Lester Flatt
Yeah.
on it, and it's just like, wow. You talking about giving goosebumps seeing
it's-
this right here.
Lester Flatt. It's hard. It's
Yeah.
probably hard to read on that
Yeah.
video.
I'll try to
camera,
get
but
some
man,
pictures then and detail to this, but man, that's just super cool right there. I mean, that's amazing, you know. And of course, you know, Lester Flatt, you know, being right down the road here in Sparta, Tennessee, you know, is where he grew up, and you know, he's a big part of the Tennessee history, you know. And man, there's no telling how many people has been influenced by, you know, the Beverly Hillbillies, Bonnie and Clyde, you know, all that stuff that they was on, and then, you know, went on from there to just, you know, he was there. I think hadn't been a time in our history where, you know, those two names, Flatt and Scruggs, you know, that comes up every time, especially here, you know, at a convention. You can walk down the hallway and you're gonna hear a Flatt and Scruggs song played in the hallway, you know, always, you know. But
I never got to see, obviously, Lester Flatt play in person, but I feel like when I'm looking at some of the stuff that he did to this guitar, I kind of got a little bit of his personality.
oh yeah,
You know, I see these little wood putty things that he did by hand back in the 50s because he scratched up his guitar, so he's filling it up with wood putty, and he just seems like just a real fun guy. I don't know. I just feel like I would totally relate to him.
Yeah.
So
He
much.
he was, you know, as well as being a great singer, songwriter, great guitar player. You know, this is the first guitar that we heard, you know, probably heard the G run on for a lot of us, you know, and you know, as well as being all that stuff, you know, he was one of our best MCs in a show. He was phenomenal. I mean, there's just a handful of guys that you can say, oh man, you know, they're good at this, but man, it seems like Lester you watch those old Martha White shows, and I mean, any show he was involved with was just like smooth,
Slick.
yeah, just slick. It was just no speed bumps, nothing in their show, you know. And it's just like, wow, guy was, you know, just master of everything, and just man, we owe a lot to Lester, you know. His phrasing, you know, if you man listen to his music so much, and he had he's a master of phrasing, you know. I always thought that, man, just the way he delivered stuff, you know, just one of a kind guy. And man, this is great, Thomas.
Oh, it's been so exciting. It's so humbling, and it's such a neat piece of history to be able to. I get so excited just opening the case.
Oh yeah,
Every time.
Yeah,
Every
that's
time.
just amazing. That you, and thanks for sharing it with us. You know, sometimes a lot of this stuff, you know, goes. You just don't know whatever happens. It just kind of it slowly leaves, and then you know people start talking about it. It's like, oh man, I wonder where such guitar is, you know, and then people start, you know, but man, here's one that, man, magically came up, you know. And
Oh, I remember when I first started in bluegrass, I had, you know, a not so great guitar, and coming in, you know, and you go into a room and someone said, hey, try this one out, you know, try that, and you pick it and you go, holy cow, this is what it's supposed to sound like. This is it, you know,
Yeah.
and it made you feel so good. And that's what
Yeah.
I think is fun about stuff like this. We can go
Yeah.
take it, crack open the case. Hey, take a look at this one, would you? Who owned this guitar? What?
Yeah.
And they get so excited, and it's just such a neat feeling.
Yeah.
And bluegrass for me and Spigma and a lot of this stuff is really a lot of neat feelings.
Yeah, it really
You know?
is. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just this guitar being a 42, we're getting into the, you know, the war era, and you know, a lot of those guitars, people just wasn't spending money on musical instruments. So this guitar is low number. I'm sure it's a low production number guitar. I mean, it's just
And the ebony truss rod is probably the different part. That kind of separates some of those 40s guitars from the others.
it does, and they've got these particular guitar. For me, when you play the low E string on these, they've got this. It's a certain tone that the T-bar guitars don't have. They don't have that, but the ebony rod guitars have this low E tone, and the A has a little bit of it, but you can really hear it. It's almost haunting, the E tone, I think, and it separates these guitars from the pack. Those few years that they did that, which we're talking, you know, 42, 43, 44, 45. There, you know, there are some 45s that have an ebony rod, the early ones, but man, they've got their own thing. But this guitar, we know why Lester picked this guitar, because it's a phenomenal sounding guitar, I think.
That's true. We were just talking earlier about how sometimes there's some really great guitars out there that, you know, very rare, very neat piece of history, but maybe they don't sound so awesome. And that's a little worrisome. I had never bought a guitar without hearing it first.
Yeah.
This one had a little provenance, so I thought, I don't care. But when I got it and we pulled it out of the case, what a wonderful surprise that it was a really great sounding guitar.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it today, and then when I played, I was like, man, we know why Lester got this one, because it's great, man. What a I don't know, just it amazes me too that, you know, later on he just played, you know, D-28s, and then, man, this first one, such great tone on this one. But the D-28s, they were always in my book, you know, they were always the cat daddy. But I'm partial to the 18s, man. I like the D-18s. They got this certain sound, especially this model here. So I guess we're going to demonstrate how this thing sounds. And Thomas, thanks for sharing this guitar with us, taking time, because I know the viewers, I know they love these stories on this thing, and this is a great guitar, and a phenomenal piece of bluegrass history, I think.
Oh yeah, thanks for
Amazing.
sharing it. I think
Oh,
it's,
yeah.
I think it's so cool to be able to share this kind of stuff with the bluegrass
Yeah.
community.
Okay, on this playing demonstration, I've got Lester's 42 D-18, and Thomas's son, Teak, has it's a 1950 D-18, and been watching this boy here. He keeps getting better every time he comes back. Every time I see him, so he's as well as being a great guitar player. This guy is a yo-yo champion. First time I saw him out at Phoenix, man, this guy was amazing, man, on a dang yo-yo, man. He's like a regular Eli Whitney on that thing, man.
Oh, man.
He can turn some stunts on it, but he was doing this stunt there one time, man. He had that yo-yo going so fast, man, he burned his string up. We had to give him a new string that day.
I had my ups and downs, for
You
sure.
have your ups and downs. Don't punish me. All right, Teak, what do you want to play here? You got it.
I think we're going to play Old Spinning Wheel.
Okay, here's an old one that's
Yeah.
it's been awful good to us down through the years.
Yeah.
All right, Teak, let her
right.
go, boy. Awesome job there, T.
Thank you. That was really fun.
Cool. Let's do another one.
All right.
1, 2, 3.
I'll do that again. Okay, I don't know what that was.
All right. You have your crap together.
Yeah, thank you. Getting special
1,
stuff.
2, 3.